I sold six-figure deals to companies making 600K a year and to companies making billions a year. Here is what's crazy about selling to billion-dollar companies. It's actually way easier than selling to small businesses. Let me show you exactly how I get these deals as an introvert who hates traditional selling. But before I start, I want to show you the proof. We currently have multiple clients paying between 30K to 150K per month each for our leads. Here are a few invoices I attached, and keep in mind these are monthly invoices, not annual contracts or yearly deals. This is for single month worth of leads or a deal that we have with this specific company. And I attach invoices from the US, Australia, and UK, so you can see it works in different countries. And we use QuickBooks for invoices, so these are real invoices. We don't use payment processors like Stripe because they have high fees, and we use bank transfers because these are typically 5 to 6 figure a month deals, so that's why we use direct bank transfers. So the first invoice, for example, 133,000 Australian dollars, another one for half a month, actually 77K US dollars, another half a month 43K, another 1 month invoice is 208K Australian dollars, which is around 140, 150K US dollars. Then another one from the UK, 220K, sorry. And we have a bunch of others like from Australia, from different countries. Here is what's interesting. I never actually sell anything. Instead, I follow a specific process that I will show you in this video that makes them want to work with us and partner with us, which means we treat it as a partnership rather than a sale. But first, let me destroy the biggest myth about enterprise sales. With small businesses or solopreneurs, no matter what you are selling, typically there is some financial objection and a lot of bullshit you have to go through before you make the sale. And even if you make the sale, they are typically the worst customer to work with because there is always the financial pressure to deliver the results. So you are stressed out for very little money in return and a lot of effort. But with mid-sized to large companies, the conversation is completely different. It's more like a partnership and fact-finding where you explore how you can collaborate rather than convincing them to work with you. And if I look at my calls with all large buyers that I did in the past, around 70 to 80% of them ended up in some sort of deal. If you compare it to high-ticket sales to small buyers, the best closers will be around 30, maybe 40%, and they will be still closing smaller deals. Let me break down the exact process I use to sell to large buyers. First, let's talk about finding the right person to talk to. This is crucial because it changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. If you are selling leads, like I do, you want to reach out to marketing, growth, or business development related roles. This can be either head of growth, head of customer acquisition, VP of marketing, partnership manager, affiliate manager, and so on. And why these specific roles? Because they are directly responsible for bringing in new customers and they understand the metrics that matter. They are not worried about spending 50K if it brings 200K in profit. By the way, if you want more info on exactly how to approach them and what to say, you can join our private group by going to insider.group website and apply there. And once you join, you will get access to templates and list of companies you can contact on different platforms. Let's continue. Once you get on the call, here is exactly how I structure it. First 5 to 10 minutes, it's all about establishing rapport and getting credibility, but not with some small talk like what's the weather on your side or similar bullshit. Instead, you want to show that you understand their industry better than they do. And that comes with preparation and actually knowing the market where you operate and sell leads to. This positions you as someone who knows what you are talking about. If you're already working with some companies in their industry, they for sure know, mention it as it adds to your credibility. If you're not working with anyone and just starting out, you can still leverage it by saying something like, we are currently talking to X, Y, and Z company about potential partnership and wanted to see if there's also opportunity to partner with you. Then other things that I typically talk about in intros are like things like geographies we operate in, some KPIs they might care about, and maybe volumes we can generate. So adds the credibility at the beginning of the call. Again, you have to sound confident and know what you are talking about. Second part, I call it fact finding, which is basically asking for information that you need from them and make sure you are a good fit. This can be primary product they focus on and want to grow or get more leads for. So for example, if you are selling to the insurance company, they may have multiple insurance lines like life insurance, car and home insurance, commercial insurance, and so on. So you want to find out which one of those is the top priority and the most profitable for them. Then I ask about the volume of leads they can handle per day or per month. Basically here you want to see what their capacity is. Next, ask about their sales process. This is important if you are selling leads, for example, as you want to be working with companies that have call centers or established sales operations. Then I want to find out what they are used to paying for leads, either to other vendors they are working with or with internal marketing campaigns. This is very important to ask in the right way so they actually share that info, as you can leverage that when you present your pricing. And also you want to ask about what KPIs they track for the success of the campaign. As if they do track some specific KPIs, you want to make sure you always satisfy those, and you will have long-term partners like we do. Some of our partners are with us for 4 years now, paying 6 figures every single month, even during Christmas periods. The last thing I ask about is not as important to ask on the first call, but I always want to know, and it's integration, which means how they want to be receiving the leads, if it's some API to CRM or some other method. After I find all the info I need, I move to the next part of the call or the meeting, which is explaining how it works. Here is what's interesting. If we are dealing with large organization, we actually adapt to their process. Why? Because they already have established system for purchasing leads, and you don't want to make it harder, as the deal can actually fall apart because of that. Now, when explaining your offer, here is exactly what you want to focus on and what results they can expect. First, explain the value you bring. For example, what problems you are solving for them, how you make their life easier, and what results can they expect. And this is the most important part, as large companies are always results driven and want to have certainty. For example, if they are spending 1 million on marketing with, let's say, 2% market share, position yourself as taking the headache out of the process by providing better quality leads at lower cost than their existing channels. Here is what most people get wrong. They start with pricing. You want to establish value first, then discuss how the payment works. And when you do get to pricing, here is how to structure it. Always anchor the price against their current costs. Focus on the return on investment, not the actual price, or on the actual KPIs they mentioned earlier on the call. And third, show how your solution reduces their risk. So for example, we are able to sell our leads for 2 to 4 times higher than the competitors just because we always tie it back to their core KPIs they want to hit rather than the actual lead cost. Another example is, instead of saying we charge $100 per lead, you might say something like, if you are currently spending $500 to acquire a customer and our leads convert at 20%, you are actually paying $250 per customer, which is half of your current cost. Now let's talk about handling objections and closing these deals. First, with large companies, you will typically face 2 main objections. First, it will be about compliance or security. They will want to know how you handle data, security, maybe TCPA if you are in the US, and some of the regulations that are related to their industry. Always be prepared to discuss those. And if you don't know how to, just join our group at insider.group and you will get exactly what to say. The second objection of these large companies can be scalability. They want to know if you can handle their volume. So be ready to discuss your capacity, maybe quality control at scale that you have, and maybe some track record with similar volume. But don't worry, even if you don't have any volume or track record, you can always start at a lower volume and scale from there, positioning it as a testing period. What's interesting is that the price is rarely the main objection with large companies. They care more about reliability and results. Now here is exactly how I close these deals. So instead of pushing for a full commitment, I always suggest starting with a trial. So you can say something like, are you against getting started with a trial batch of leads to validate the quality? And this works for 2 reasons. First, it's a low risk for them. And second, once they see the quality, scaling up from there becomes a natural process. But it's not a free trial that you are giving them. It's just that for the first month, they will buy maybe 10K worth of leads and grow from there month by month. Another tip, and one of the most powerful things I've learned, is that your strongest negotiation position is when you don't need the deal. So I always make sure they know we are working with their competitors, we have limited capacity, which we actually do, and we are selective with partnerships. And this creates scarcity and position you as an equal partner, not a vendor. The reason this whole process works so well for me is that you are not really selling, you are creating partnerships. So when you position yourself correctly, understand their metrics, and show you can deliver the results, these deals become easy to close and actually can change your life. So remember, target the right decision makers, show you understand their industry very well, find info about them you can leverage in the pitch, start with a trial that proves your value, and bonus, always negotiate from a position of strength. If you want to learn more about exactly what to say on these calls, including word-for-word scripts and templates and everything we do, just go to insider.group and apply to join our private community. See you in the next video.